We're going to go into the jury trial of Kyle Rittenhouse. Big news. It started last week. We're going to go into some of the days and like what's led up to this, what's been going on in the trial, and we're just going to go through some testimony and stuff. So jury selection was November 1st, and it was noted that it was a very quick jury selection, which was a bit surprising to people. It consists of 11 women and 9 men. So that's 20, and then it would be broken down into 12 for the jury.
Okay.
Because, every once in a while you gotta sub out somebody. And we're gonna get to somebody who actually did get kicked off the
Yeah, I think I heard about
jury.
that.
So it's an interesting trial. I think it's gotten a lot of media attention. It's gotten a lot of attention from people that might not know exactly what they're talking about with the Rittenhouse trial. There's a lot of information, and people should really look into it, look into what's going on in the trial. And
I mean, when it happened last year, it was all over the media, so I'm sure everybody's heard about it.
Yeah, and it was, like science, information changes. You get more information as you go along. You get more of an understanding of the night. You get video cam footage. You get drone footage of people running. You get this and that can tell you what happened a little bit differently than what you might have heard August 25th.
Yeah, and honestly, after looking at everything, which we'll definitely talk about, it's awesome that all of this was recorded from all different points of view.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because could you imagine if it wasn't there?
Yeah, no. I don't really. It would have been terrible. I think it would have been
Kyle,
hard for either side.
Yeah.
Honestly. Nobody would have really known what would have, if these riots happened back in the 80s, there's a good chance that this would have been, this could have been glorified in any way back in the day. On November 2nd, the trial began. The prosecution was actually allowed to present their opening arguments before the defense, which the defense actually gave up. They granted them the right to open it up, and they spent that time to paint the scene, to kind of say, this was a crazy scene, this was big crowd, big this and that, everybody was going crazy, and they made the argument that out of all the people, the only person that killed somebody that night was Rittenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Which I can somewhat understand that argument, okay, sure. The defense's argument is that there were a lot of circumstances that led to Kyle Rittenhouse needing to save his life, even though, there were people that were attempting to shoot at him. There were people that had fired weapons at that time. There were people who were aiming weapons at him. There was a guy who beat him over the head with a skateboard. He stomped on his head.
And I didn't even know about that when the media never showed that. Like, I had no idea the extent, because I thought it was just some kid that brought the gun, and I thought it was illegally because that's what the media was saying, and I didn't really know much about the gun laws and all this kind of stuff. And
oh yeah, there's a ton of arguments, and there's we're not even going to be able to cover everything that there is to cover about the Rittenhouse trial in this segment. So I urge everybody watching this to also look into it yourself. Look into the trial, watch what it's all available online, live streamed everywhere. So it's very, you can keep up with this. You can figure out what's going on and what's not going on. We're going to get into a few ways how, certain parties and certain media figures have kind of tried to sway the public opinion of this event and what happened that night.
Yeah.
It definitely makes a difference amongst people. There are many people that are very tuned into what CNN says, what CNBC says, what all of these major media companies say. So
yeah, it's like definitely when I looked at different sources, like different media platforms, you can tell that there was a filter of bias in each and every single one.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
No matter what, because they don't want you to have a right to self-defense. They believe that any gun use is just wrong. And I think that's a big part of like getting rid of guns in general, just because, the very classic argument of when you get rid of guns, who are you affecting? You're not affecting the people who are actually causing crimes by these guns.
Because they still get it illegally, right?
No, that's the majority of what crime is. It's mostly illegal guns because they're not people that, are allowed to have guns.
Yeah.
So we need to put an end to that. It's not actual legal gun ownership that we need to put an end to. We shouldn't be stopping somebody's right to defend their lives as well, which we're going to get into. There's a lot on this Rittenhouse trial, and this trial means a lot more than just, it's just one random guy. This is a catalyst for a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot more. Yeah. When I watched what is it called, a proceeding or whatever it's called, or
you're saying
I have no idea. I'm not good with law stuff.
Okay.
But I learned a lot from just watching the videos. There was a lot more than just what was shown at the time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. And when you look at the drone footage of Kyle, at first it looks like Kyle's somewhat chasing him, and then they tried to make that argument, and then Kyle was like, "Why don't you play it a few more seconds?" And it turns out that it was Rosenbaum was chasing him. Kyle somehow evaded him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rosenbaum, Kyle faked going one way, went straight. Rosenbaum ended up going that way.
Yep.
And then he
chasing
chasing
after Kyle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he ran forward, and then Rosenbaum ended up chasing him the rest of the way. So it's like they have no crux of an argument. They have nothing that can say that they really, that Rittenhouse acted in a manner that wasn't self-defense.
Absolutely. I agree now, more so than last year when things were just completely blown out of proportion against Kyle.
Oh, yeah. So the three guys involved with this case are Joseph Rosenbaum, Anthony Huber, and Gage Grosskreutz. Gage actually testified in this trial. He's the one who had gotten shot in the arm. So we're going to talk about him and what led to that situation. But both Rosenbaum's the big one. He's the real instigator of this whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who was chasing after Kyle Rittenhouse and was screaming certain things that just, any mob riot type situation would have. Very beautiful. We're pulling up a few other pictures. So these are a few pictures from the week and of him in court, talking about his trial, talking about the nights of that event, how a few moments before Rosenbaum had been chasing him, and a few moments before that whole situation got deadly. They were talking. They were, he had to recount what was going on, and events that happened. And just
I think he broke down really hard when he was explaining that scene. I'm sure we'll talk about when he was on the ground, and it was a really horrible time. And he started breaking down. It was actually really sad.
Yeah, it was a disappointing situation, and something that it shows that he even felt bad, even though he knows that he didn't do anything. Like, he was supposed to, he had to protect his life, and he didn't want to take the lives of others. It's very obvious by the way that he's very young. He expresses the way that he is, the way that he feels. Like, there was no intent that night to kill somebody. There was no intent to say, oh, we're going to go out and kill these people. Like, no, this was a situation that other people started threatening his life, started doing things that really, shouldn't have been happening.
Thank you for watching that clip. It was a small segment from our regular podcast, The Weekly Rundown. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and feel free to check out the full podcast, available on Spotify and YouTube. You can also subscribe and turn on our notifications if you want to be notified when we post. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day.